following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, and real since 1998.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
To scratch a major itch. So enjoy your fruity pebbles, you yabba dabba bitch.
The God Almighty, they've killed him. And CM Punk, and I am the voice of the voiceless.
Be the man. You gotta beat the man. Woo, woo, woo. You know it. I got okey doke by the
Live from the Pro Wrestling Report studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is Monday Night Meltdown with your hosts, Damian Nelson and David Hero.
I'm proud to say we're doing things the Vince McMahon way.
That's the bottom line. What? 'Cause Stone Cold said so.
Bringing you all the latest news and views from professional wrestling. Monday Night Meltdown is on the air.
5, 4,
Hello, professional wrestling fans. Damian Nelson coming to you here from the PWR studios along with Matthew Thomas and David Hero. And for Monday Night Meltdown, we are talking about WWE Raw, which just went off the air, which was live on Monday, October the 29th, 2012. Thank you for joining us wherever you are all over the world. It was a night on Raw where we saw the Survivor Series begin to take shape. We find out more about John Cena and AJ's controversy. Vicky tries to manipulate AJ in order to get her back on the Raw roster, which works. And we find out when Jerry Lawler returns, along with another diva getting fired from WWE tonight. All of that happening tonight on Raw. We're looking for your comments and your conversation, which can be included here in the chat room on Blog Talk Radio. Again, the chat room on Blog Talk Radio, which is live. We're also on Twitter, at PWR Show on Twitter. And the question we're asking you on Twitter right now is whether or not you thought Raw was a pass or fail. Go ahead and find us on Twitter, at PWR Show, and retweet with your comments, or your thoughts, rather, whether or not Raw was a pass or fail. Matthew, we started off WWE Raw tonight with CM Punk, who came out and explained that everybody was wrong, that he is still the champion after some 344 days, including his monumental victory last night, but even goes on to say that he had nothing to do with the screw job and that Ryback will not be getting a rematch after the controversial ending to the championship matchup last night at Hell in a Cell. CM Punk has really a lot to say, and everything he said, well, aside from probably not being involved with the screw job, was, well, I guess, undisputable, Matthew.
Yeah, I mean, he continues to deliver on the mic as he always has, and I know there's a lot of talk about the finish last night and the end to Hell in a Cell, but one thing that really struck out to me tonight, you know, the chorus of boos that he got when he came out, and so far in Punk's reign as a heel, we really haven't seen the sneaky, cheap win like he got last night, the cheap screw job finish. And maybe that's another avenue to really give him just a little further depth as this heel character.
He has definitely evolved a lot as a character, and he went even on to say, "I don't suck. Charlotte sucks," because they were in Charlotte, North Carolina. Oh, by the way, I read on all the dirt sheets that Ric Flair was going to be debuting tonight on Raw. I must have missed that part. Be that as it may, CM Punk was interrupted by Mick Foley. Mick Foley back on Raw, a little bit of a surprise there. He comes out and he says, that CM Punk still hasn't earned respect. He hasn't gotten that moment. CM Punk challenges that with calling for a match at the Survivor Series, that being Team Foley versus Team Punk at the Survivor Series. Mick Foley accepts, and out comes Ryback, which sends Punk and Heyman scurrying. David Hero, we would learn who the members of the teams were later on tonight at the end of Raw, and they are as follows. Representing Team Punk, it's basically the endorsed team, you could just almost say, because The Miz, Cody Rhodes, Damian Sandow, and Alberto Del Rio will be joining CM Punk to take on Team Foley. Team Foley will be comprised of Kofi Kingston, Kane, Daniel Bryan, and Randy Orton. And one notable point, Mick Foley will not be competing. He will be at ringside. However, the fifth member of that team will be Ryback. David, your thoughts on those teams and CM Punk's opening to Raw tonight?
You know, CM Punk did a great job of opening the show, I guess you could say. I mean, yeah, he beat Ryback, you know, the screw job, the Atlanta screw job. They didn't do anything to really establish a storyline with the evil, crooked referee Danny Davis. They did nothing with him. But they did put together the traditional Survivor Series, which, you know what, everyone loves the old school Survivor Series type match. But do you really like the match, this one? It's all the matches we've seen. It's the teams of, you know, of opponents we've already seen dozens of times. Mm-hmm. There's nothing new about it. You know, I was hoping to see maybe a Brock Lesnar on Team Punk. Why didn't, you know, obviously they're trying to hotshot this quickly because it is 3 weeks away. Right. And they, you know, you would think that they would have given time for them to scour both brands, for those guys to make appearances on Raw and SmackDown and scout players and have, you know, put more thought and emphasis into building these teams. For them to get it done within the 3-hour time period, it's like, wow. That was, to me, that was, you know, rather shocking. And then, of course, you got to figure, well, where's John Cena going to be? You got to figure John Cena will probably be going one-on-one with Dolph Ziggler if John Cena is healthier than what he has been in the past 2 weeks. So, Survivor Series right now, you know, some people like the matches. They like how it looks on paper, but I liked how Hell in a Cell looked on paper too, and that pay-per-view was a tad bit of a disappointment.
A tad bit? Well, they did, Matthew, tell us that the referee in question, Brad Maddox, has not been seen since last night's Survivor Series. That door's still sort of open. Where could they go with this? What is going to be the explanation, and what are the ramifications for this matchup? Because it basically wasn't addressed as to the fact that Cena stole the championship last night.
Yeah, and that's the question. And are they going anywhere with that door that's still open, or did they hope with the announcement of both of the Survivor Series teams tonight kind of help to close that door and push that as the main storyline, hoping fans will ultimately forget about it? It really seemed to me, watching Raw tonight, that one of the main things they were trying to do was to run away from Punk versus Ryback at Hell in a Cell as quick as they could, which to me seemed like that was a lot of the reasoning behind making the match so quick tonight. So I'm wondering the same thing, or if they're going to go anywhere at all with it is my question, or is it just one of those things that they hope is conveniently forgotten in the next few weeks?
David Hero, do you think that WWE is attempting to put Hell in a Cell in the rear view mirror and not turn back to it?
Absolutely, because they really didn't acknowledge a whole lot about it. Right now what they need to do is keep CM Punk out of main singles matches if he's going to keep that title going into Royal Rumble to face The Rock. And what better way for him to not lose it than to put him in tag matches?
Well, that was
they're building to Royal Rumble right now. They need to try to make CM Punk a legitimate, bona fide main event superstar that can, in the people's eye, go one-on-one with the Great One.
The Royal Rumble is the next stop, I guess, and many have said for a long time that the Survivor Series is the first stop on the way to WrestleMania. WrestleMania, of course, you see going on sale, the tickets going on sale November 10th, unless, of course, you're a smart fan and you got your tickets from the Pro Wrestling Report in our special VIP section, our club section, which includes access to the club suite at MetLife Stadium for WrestleMania 29. But you're right. This matchup going into the Survivor Series, and we'll talk much more about it, of course, in the weeks ahead, it's a bunch of old news. It really is a bunch of old news. I mean, the only new thing about it is Mick Foley, and he's not even competing. Well, we got some more information on the situation between AJ, John Cena, and Vicky Guerrero tonight. AJ being reinstated as an active competitor, a Divas competitor, only for that to result in the firing of another Diva, that being Beth Phoenix, who was publicly fired by WWE Raw managing supervisor Vicky Guerrero tonight on Raw. AJ back Vicky presents her evidence. Her evidence was, John Cena at the Hotel Motel Holiday Inn with AJ getting into the elevator and, going to parts unknown. Was the payoff there for the firing of AJ and the reasoning of the WWE Board of Directors, as we were led to believe, believing this affair had happened, Matthew?
I really don't think so. The whole thing that's going through my mind tonight while I'm watching this is if they wanted to keep Cena on TV while he's recovering, couldn't they have thought of something better than this? It just, especially after coming off the heels of switching to the other side of the tracks, a similar angle they did in TNA, with the whole AJ Styles Claire Lynch thing. That's been a little bit too soon. It just, it's just with the clips from the elevator footage and everything, just really did not do it for me at all. If anything came out of it, when AJ actually had a wrestling match tonight, it seemed to give that a little bit of more importance than the traditional Divas match would. Mm-hmm. But just with the amount of time that this storyline was taking up tonight and the amount of backstage segments, just really didn't seem to have that buy-in value for me.
David Hero, we've heard for a while that Beth Phoenix had requested her release, was on her way out of WWE. Seemingly that comes to fruition tonight. The Divas division, I guess it's a replacement. AJ back in, Beth Phoenix out.
That is not a replacement. That's not even a Band-Aid to fix the loss of Beth Phoenix.
Ace bandage?
Yes.
You're talking about loss of talent, but utilization of Beth Phoenix has been questionable for sure over the last few months. They've basically not used her.
Yeah, but she's the ex-girlfriend of the current WWE Champion. That's usually how it works.
Strange bedfellows?
Absolutely. Speaking of affairs and all that kind of nonsense, come on, it's good for business. You get to exchange ideas, pillow talk, the whole thing. I mean, come on. I mean, look at all the other, shenanigans that have gone down over the past how many years in WWE. I mean, hell, look at the PWR offices, Damien. I mean, you're constantly into different kinds of shenanigans.
Of course, at the very top of WWE, you've got, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon with that
right?
talk going on.
I mean, that's like, and that's when Hunter was still with China, he was screwing around with Stephanie. You didn't see Hunter get fired or have to wrestle Beth Phoenix to keep his job, now did you?
It's funny. The girl always takes not always, because Drew McIntyre and Rhino would have you believe differently, but generally the girl
wait. Did you say Drew McIntyre and Rhino?
Yeah, they had situations with girls in hotels, and they, ended up either getting fired or punished. What was that?
Uh-huh. Their wives.
I'm just saying, in general, I mean, you look at Mickie James, you look at a lot of the females who have been released from WWE, and it all goes back to drama, not their ability. And it seems like the girls always
take
the phone.
What is the very first thing you learned in biology class? It's a man's world. Right?
Uh-huh.
Well, there you go. That's why the Divas are always getting the short end of the stick.
Well, I don't know anything about how big the stick was. I'm just saying that generally they get fired, during these situations. Matthew, there were a ton more matches on Raw tonight, and one of them was Ryback just absolutely destroying the very talented JTG, as Ryback bruised it all.
He's just that gangster, right? You know that, right?
I know that he's just that gangsta. Matthew, do you feel Ryback was at all bruised coming out of Hell in a Cell last night? And I don't mean in the figurative sense, the one that was on his right shoulder, but as far as his persona.
No, I don't think the persona was bruised. I mean, it's kind of tough to follow up a pay-per-view main event with a match against JTG, But no, I don't think he was hurt coming out of Hell in a Cell. One thing that I think, hopefully, at least the WWE would like to stick with viewers is that image of him at the top of the cell destroying Punk last night to go off the air. So I don't think he's bruised. Now, Ryback did get a little more mic time than he has in the past, with going a little bit beyond the Feed Me More. He got a little more promo time in the night.
Oh yeah, Feed Me Punk. That's real in depth.
Well, he had a little bit of build up to it. He had a little bit of set up to it. So, but I'm not sure that was necessarily really a good thing, to be honest with you.
You know, he wasn't. The fans weren't even chanting "Feed Me Punk." They were still chanting "Feed Me More."
Yeah.
So
yeah, because they still like Punk. They like Ryback because he's the guy that they wish they could be, unstoppable.
Yeah.
But they still like CM Punk because he's snarky.
Other matchups tonight, Randy Orton gets a win over Wade Barrett, and apparently the Facebook statistics are more important than seeing the full entrance from Randy Orton. What a fall from grace Randy Orton has had. He's almost like, he's no better than a mid-card talent, at least in the view of WWE right now, and that is a shame, especially what we're given to deal with at the top of the card.
Randy Orton, you know... Go ahead, Matthew. No, let's okay. Now you go.
Playing the role of Brother Love tonight.
Yeah, he still continues to put on good matches. The problem I've had with Orton for the longest while now is face Orton. I just don't buy. It's hard for me to get into Orton as a face. He seems to be just such a natural heel, and whenever he's in any program, in the role that we've seen him recently, I enjoy the matches. I still think he puts on excellent matches, but as far as getting invested into whatever the said storyline is, it's just not there for me.
Another matchup with Team Hell No.
You know what the problem with Randy Orton is, Damien and Matthew? The problem with Randy Orton is that he's already worked with everybody in the company. He's worked with Cody. He's worked with Miz. He's worked with Big Show and Sheamus and John Cena and CM Punk. And now he's worked with Wade Barrett and Alberto Del Rio. There is nothing new, fresh, or exciting for Randy Orton to do on either brand.
Is there anything new, fresh, or exciting for John Cena? Well, obviously for CM Punk, but what about John Cena?
You know what? Cena's a different character because he can do different things. I mean, you know, now he's going to go into the program with Dolph Ziggler, which he's never done before.
Yeah.
Right? Randy Orton's already worked with Dolph Ziggler how many times?
Many, many, many times.
Exactly. That's Randy Orton's problem. He's just exasperated everything on both rosters.
Another matchup was Team Hell No defeating the Primetime Players with Darren Young tapping out to the no-lock. A strong showing for the Primetime Players there, but I was surprised that after a rise last week, they would go back into the tag team doldrums, if you will, against Team Hell No. We then saw Jinder Mahal and Heath Slater defeat Santino and Ryder, the team of Santino and Ryder, after seeing Behind the Music with 3MB. And, well, I guess the takeaway from that was Jinder Mahal saying, this ain't Lynn's Crafters, we can't put out hits in an hour or less. That was an awkward segment, Matthew.
Well, I actually enjoyed it. We had Drew McIntyre calling out Bono, by the way, so maybe a potential build for a future WrestleMania match there. But I'm enjoying these guys. If you'd have told me a couple of months ago that we would have these three thrown together in a stable, in a rock band stable, I never would have believed it. But it's I'm having a good time with it.
We find out that Jerry Lawler will return to Raw in 2 weeks, just 1 week before the Survivor Series. A quick recovery, of course. Jerry Lawler suffering from a heart attack a couple of months ago on a live broadcast of WWE Raw. He's back at the broadcast table in some 2 weeks' time. We then saw a confrontation between Sheamus and the Big Show, where Show told the Big Show Show told Sheamus that you can't beat me, and calling Sheamus a ginger snap, and what I thought was one of the most clever lines of the night. Sheamus then saying, have you actually ever seen a ginger snap? And then going after and attacking the Big Show, but we would not see Dolph Ziggler cash in the Money in the Bank. We would see him in the ring with John Cena earlier on, but not cashing in Money in the Bank, and he guaranteed to do so last night. Now, in an interview at WWE.com, Dolph Ziggler says that he didn't cash in because he wants it to be a surprise. He wants people to keep guessing, keep thinking, and keep wondering when he's going to cash in that Money in the Bank briefcase, and you got to wonder if him going into a program with John Cena is enough diversion for a more spontaneous cash-in. Team Rhodes Scholars, the endorsed Team Rhodes Scholars, defeat Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio in what I thought was a great tag team matchup, and a repeat of a match we saw recently between those two teams. Well, overall tonight, there is no doubt that WWE is coming off of 2 nights of rather lackluster product. And again, the wrestling was great last night at Hell in a Cell. There were some great wrestling matchups tonight on Raw, but you can't argue that it failed to hold a lot of fans' interest. And we're going to find out just how much it didn't fail to hold a lot of fans' interest when we come back and go to our Twitter poll results at PWR Show on Twitter. Did you think Raw was a pass, or did you think Raw was a fail? The conversation continues during the timeout here in the chat room on Blog Talk Radio, and we're going to go to your phone calls when we come back right here on Monday Night Meltdown.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, real. Covering pro wrestling like no other. This is Monday Night Meltdown live on Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report, Monday Night Meltdown. We're live here on Blog Talk Radio, Monday, October 29, 2012. And David Ensue going to be here along with David Hero. And one thing that should not go unmentioned about WWE Raw tonight is a contribution that was identified, and that is from WWE and all of you, great fans, with your donations and your purchases of merchandise to the Susan G. Komen for the Cure Foundation. David Hero, a $1 million donation from WWE to Susan G. Komen, and you can't bat eyes at that amazing effort by World Wrestling Entertainment and the pure class that they showed tonight with not only their campaign over the course of the last several weeks, but their issuance of that check in a presentation led by Vince McMahon and John Cena live on Raw.
You know what? It was super impressive. And just imagine, they did $1 million in 1 month. Imagine what they do over an entire year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Huge
Absolutely.
dollars. And you know what? Congratulations to the Universe and everybody for buying all those pink T-shirts and hats and wristbands and whatever else. I mean, super impressive. And you know what? It was a very, very cool moment.
Absolutely, it was. Kudos to WWE World Wrestling Entertainment for that commitment and to all of you who contributed as well. Let's go now to the phones and let's find out why some of our fans and some of the viewers of WWE tonight thought Raw was either a pass or a fail. And let's start down in Florida, where Sam wants to tell us why he thought Raw deserves a passing grade. Sam, you're live on the Meltdown.
What's up, Damien? What's up, Hero?
What's up,
It's
man?
a beautiful world.
I kind of feel like I'm forced to like Raw tonight after what happened on last night's Hell in a Cell. I didn't order the pay-per-view, but seeing how they followed up Raw, I guess you can say it was a pass. And the very last segment of it, when Foley was mentioning how I know these guys who I'm about to name off the list for like a certain number of years, I had a feeling they were going to pull a swerve and announce Rock as one of the members to start building up towards the Rock. I thought it would have been a little bit interesting, but then again, it would have demoted Ryback completely.
Yeah. That definitely would have been interesting, absolutely. Now, you didn't watch Hell in a Cell and you thought Raw tonight was good. Was it only because Raw filled...
No, I didn't watch Hell in a Cell. I watched Raw tonight to get the follow-up.
Okay. So you give Raw a pass.
I do think it passed. I mean, they did present a lot of good matches with the tag teams of Rhodes Scholars and Rey Mysterio and Sakara, right? And also with Team Hell No and the Primetime Players. They're doing a lot of good work with pushing the younger talent, but when it comes to the younger talent, which brings me to Ryback, a lot of my feelings toward WWE giving Ryback that main event spot last night was simply because they didn't see anywhere else to go. Ryback was their only solution. And my feeling is that when you have a guy smash local jobbers for 6 months, as much as I like Stan Stansky, beating Stan Stansky and Arthur Rosenberg, that's not going to give you a main event push. And part of it, actually, the jobbers who he was smashing got more attention than him himself on some nights. I think WWE needs to come to its zone and realize that you need to start putting guys in the main event from the developmental parts of here in Florida from SCW. I think Chris Hero and Punk could have an amazing feud. I think Tyler Black, Seth Rollins, if you want to call him that, and CM Punk can have an amazing feud. Part of it is when you put guys at the very bottom of the card, people are going to have a pre-conclusion of this guy cannot main event. This guy cannot hold up with the big dogs in WWE. When you take guys who are unknown to the mainstream level and you put them at that main event spot, I feel like there's nothing but big hopes for them.
Very good point. Thank you for that call, Sam, down in Florida. And I will say this, to the point of WWE taking a chance with putting maybe some of those main event or some of those developmental stars into the main event. David Hero, they proved to us that with a star, they want to make a star. They can do that, and the most recent reflection of that was with Ryback.
Well, they did that with John Cena. I mean, they just kept pushing John Cena, and pushing him, and he became the biggest star in the company. Ryback, the advantage Ryback has over guys like Tyler Black and Chris Hero is just he looks like a character. He's not the guy you're going to see walking into a 7-Eleven. You know what I mean?
Or
he just has or a Waffle House, absolutely, or Walmart, or Target, or whatever it is. I mean, when Ryback walks into a room, heads turn.
Yeah.
And that is, and perception is reality of the wrestling business. For everyone that knocks Ryback, let's go back 20 years to a guy named the Ultimate Warrior who did pretty much the same thing, 2-3 minute TV squash matches. And it wasn't until he had a match with Hulk Hogan or the Macho Man or Andre the Giant that taught him how to work and slow things down. That's when he became a bigger star. I did not think CM Punk helped elevate Ryback's game in his match last night. I watched it again today, and it just seemed like Punk was unenthused, not interested to be in there with the big beast Ryback.
Let's go to our next caller who comes from, don't know where, but we do know he thought Raw was a fail tonight. Ruben, you're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report, Monday Night Meltdown.
What up, gentlemen? This is your boy Ruben here in Sonoma County, California, wine country, USA.
Hello, Ruben. Tell us why you thought Raw was a fail tonight.
In a simple word. That's my dog. Thank you, baby. I appreciate it. That's my dog. Number one is this, man. I almost opened me up a bottle to drink that whole sucker based on what I saw. And repeat. That's all I saw today. Other than the Justin Gabriel and that Hero match, other than that, it was just repeat. I didn't even buy Hell in a Cell. I don't remember the last time I bought a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, probably about 10 years ago when they were actually good. Now, here's the question I want to have. I know the Susan B thing for the cancer cure, that was a sweet part of the show, but the rest of Raw just seemed dry to me. Now, I want to talk about Hell in a Cell real quickly here. If you're a PG company, why in the world do you still have a pay-per-view called Hell in a Cell, a match that's predicated on blood and violence? You have the Elimination Chamber and a pay-per-view that used to be called ECW One Night Stand. Now, I know the easy answer would be buy rates, but if you're a PG company, aren't you supposed to be a PG company?
Here's why they have those matches.
Thanks for the
Because if you spend any time in Toys R Us or Walmart right now, you will see the Hell in a Cell play set. It's merchandising, it's gimmicks, and that's exactly what WWE does. I mean, that Hell in a Cell gimmick is like $50 or $60 at Toys R Us, and I'm telling you, senior intern Cal, he's eyeing that thing up every time we go in there. That's why they still do it. It's a gimmick, it's a pay-per-view, and it's a way of drawing people in, saying, oh, Hell in a Cell, I've heard about the demonic structure. I want to see what that's all about.
Thank you for that call, Ruben, and thank you, Sam, as well, down in Florida. I also want to thank all of you joining us in the chat room here on Blog Talk Radio. Some amazing conversation going on there all night. And now the question is, was Raw a pass or a fail tonight, David Hero? And before we go to the results of our Twitter poll, your opinion, would you give all 3 hours of Raw an overall pass or an overall fail tonight?
I wouldn't give it a pass. I don't know if it failed because it did, keep things rolling. I would just say it was not a very good show.
So you say it's a fail?
Well, I'm just saying it wasn't very good. I wouldn't say it passed. I don't know if it failed or not. I think it was stuck in neutral. I don't think that it really did a whole lot for anybody. I mean, put it this way, if you could watch the football game or you could watch stuff on this Hurricane Sally, what are you going to watch? You're going to turn Raw off and put something else on. So, not a very good show tonight.
Well, the fans tend to agree, and our followers on Twitter, at PWR Show on Twitter, only 27%, David Hero, thought that tonight's show deserved a passing grade. Only 27%. Now, let's compare that to last night's passing score for WWE Hell in a Cell of 38%, and last week's Raw getting a whopping 65% passing grade. Tonight was a problem. 73% thought it failed. 73% thought Raw needed more. I'm not going to say if it's 3 hours. I'm not going to say if it's distractions with, obviously, the tragedy going on the East Coast, but WWE had a miss this week, and arguably they had a miss last night as well. We'll talk all about the week in wrestling coming up Saturday night on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Television. But before that, right here on Blog Talk Radio, you can join Meathead and Matt with the Sudden Impact Radio broadcast Thursday night right after Impact Wrestling. Every single Thursday night, 1 hour of Impact Wrestling talk right here on Blog Talk Radio. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you are all over the world. And if you're on the East Coast, please be careful, be safe, and heed the warnings that are being issued as Sandy rolls in tonight. Our thoughts and prayers, of course, go to all of you out there who are dealing with that great tragedy. For David Hero, for Matthew Thomas, and the man they call Meathead, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for tuning in to the Pro Wrestling Report Monday Night Meltdown. We'll see you again on Saturday for Primetime.